Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
Midweek, you don't have a ton of depth, and then we turn around and we play a conference game Thursday. You kind of use it as a bullpen day and get guys work. And
we just felt like we had a lot of good choices, but based on what he did here last year and how we feel about him and his future and the pure stuff, we feel like this is the right decision for us.
I'm excited to obviously get to see what we did. I'm excited to be in the tournament. Oftentimes, 7 through 10, there can be a lot of shuffling.
Can't overcome adversity when you're incapable of accomplishing anything significant in your life, because the whole point of something being significant is that you had to overcome a tremendous amount of adversity to do it, like that basketball game.
The point being is that cockroaches can adapt to anything in their environment and not only survive but thrive, and that's what it is. Things happen in life, situations happen on a daily basis, and you've got to be a cockroach.
That's the beauty and the magic of March. If you take that away, you're not going to have 12-5 upsets, 16-1 upsets. That is the beauty and the magic of what makes March Madness March Madness.
I would walk barefoot to go coach a team tomorrow, to practice, to get ready to play in the tournament, to play in the NIT. And I don't have any sympathy. I get it. People, well, you don't understand, the portal's this and the NIL this, and we got to get into the portal. You know what? So what?
One of the pillars of our program is that tough people do the next right thing. If we say that we are tough people, then we're going to do the next right thing, and let's just take advantage of this opportunity that we have. So it's a blessing to be where we're at.
I wish people would stop talking about changing the NCAA tournament right now. It's a treasure. It works. It's beautiful. You don't expand something not knowing what it's going to fit into in the future.
And welcome to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM, the talk of the town. Welcome in. It's a Tuesday Sports Day show. Steve Webster, Mike Corson, Aaron Clark, and Mike Hesher on hand to provide your noonday entertainment today. Also on the show today, we're going to dig into the NJCAA National Tournament with the voice of the Cougars, Cole Reif. Cougars will play on Monday, and they will take on either Walters State or Daytona State. Those two teams will play in the first round of the tournament on Sunday. So we'll get all the info from Cole. We'll talk Barton softball with head coach Carson DeBose, talking about the Lady Cougars sweep of Northwest Tech Saturday at Cougar Field. They will be at home tomorrow against the Pratt Beavers. And then they head to Hutchinson this weekend. We'll talk to Carson about that. And Mike Corson will visit with Rock Creek freshman Aria Pierce. As a middle schooler, she ran some of the fastest times in Kansas history. Corson checks in on her goals for the 2024 track season as we move into Mike Corson season here on Sports Day.
Grass is growing, trees are blooming, kids are running.
Supposed to snow on Monday, baby.
Of course. Right when the meets start up.
Exactly. And farmers in the area always look forward to this time of year because high school baseball starts here soon, and that's when it's going to rain. So there you go. All right, let's get to the sounds of past 24 hours or so. Brent Biggs, Barton baseball coach, a guest on the show yesterday. They take on Cowley today. And this is the thing. Midweek games are not Jayhawk Conference West games. So, you usually have your day one starters, 1 and 2, day 2 starters in the 4-game series. That's 3 and 4. So you usually get a lot of guys seeing action, but this is an interesting matchup. A single 9-inning game down in Ark City today. Cowley is receiving votes in the NJCAA baseball poll. Not ranked. There's only 2 teams from Kansas that are in the rankings. They're both on the east side. KCK, who swept that series against the Cougars in Kansas City earlier this year, and then Johnson County. I think KCK's 17, and then you have Johnson County, who's number 10. But still an interesting matchup today. They'll go down there and play 9 innings. It's one of those games where 2 teams want to win, but they don't have their best dudes out there.
So it should be even. But I will say,
well, it depends on who's the depth of your rotation, and you get some other pitchers some work too. So,
like, I know the Royals fly into places and maybe play that evening, but they don't take 2-hour, 45-minute bus rides down and then play a game of baseball.
It is
kind of like Coach Biggs was saying, kind of a big moment for those guys who might not get as much time in some of the weekend games, and down the road in a long season, you'll need those guys to step up if the injury bug rears its head, or in some of those long tournaments. Got to know what fellows can step up and what moments for you.
2 p.m. first pitch in Arc City. Too bad you're not covering that. You could have gone down to the casino just south of the state line there, Mike, and tried out your roulette wheel strategy.
Get back to your winning ways.
Yeah.
Just don't gamble angry.
Weird thing, I'm in Arc City. I Google it. It says it's 4 miles away, but I was thinking it was on I-35. So I missed it. It is directly south of Arc City, so I ended up going to Mulvane.
I'd love walking in that casino down there, and as soon as you walk in the door, the waft of cigarette smoke just a wonderful smell, isn't it?
Cigarettes are bad for your health unless you're giving us your money, and we'll take it.
All right, Matt Quatrero. Cole Reagans will be the starting pitcher next Thursday when the Royals open their season here on KVGB against the Minnesota Twins. Kind of an afterthought in a trade with the Rangers last year. He's turned into, many projected him one of the top pitchers in the American League this year.
Not an afterthought in Mullinville. Starting guy for the Marauders.
Listen, when you get to the major leagues, you can talk about, not this Mullinville Marauder baseball team that's down there in a 4-team league. So,
all right.
Okay, that's all right, though. We'll get updates on the way it goes. Yeah, fantasy baseball now, because the stupid game over in Korea between the Dodgers and who are they playing? The A's?
It's like
or the Padres, yeah. Well, now you have to have your draft, and then you've got your rosters, and then you go in and pick up, because I had 2 guys on the NA list, which are basically your minor leaguers who aren't. So, and now I've got a week and a half to just sit here and go home and look at my team on the, there they are.
Move them around, pretend like they said bad clubhouse stuff.
This is integral for figuring out your team chemistry. You got to take the guys on some bonding trips, take them out to see the field. Got to make sure they know what they're playing for, who they're playing for out there in Iuka.
Yeah, a lot of things to get done down in Iuka. We've got the Posey Pool. We had to clean that out a little bit. It used to be the Puig Pen when we had.
And what would your son say to this?
What?
Civilian problems.
Yeah, that's true. It's tough running a fantasy baseball franchise. Yeah, we'll have Royals baseball for you, and we'll have Royals baseball for you tomorrow night. They'll take on the Angels, and we'll have it for you coverage at 8 here on KVGB. Then Saturday, it's the Rangers at 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon. And then on Monday, we'll bring you the Battle of Springdale, Arkansas, as the Royals take on the Northwest Arkansas Naturals. Monday night right here on KVGB.
Naturals is such a good name for a team. You said that this morning, and I was like, that's tremendous. That's just, what are they? Oh, they're Naturals,
But we felt like in some years the minor leaguers could beat the major leaguers, so you hope that somebody's playing for some dignity there.
The Northwest Arkansas Naturals, who used to be the Wichita Wranglers. That's what happens when you get a baseball gig and then your team moves out of town. I didn't want to move to Arkansas. So, there you go. All right, here's your Royals rotation. Tentatively, Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, Michael Waka, Brady Singer, and Daniel Lynch.
Don't say it.
Well, Lyles hasn't thrown hard. Jordan Lyles hasn't thrown that much here in spring training. So, Salvador Perez at catcher. Who's going to be at your first base, Hesh? It's going to be Pasquantino or Prado?
Pasquantino to start.
Okay. Second base, Adam Frazier or Michael Massey?
I hope Massey myself, but
Michael Garcia at third.
That kid's a stud.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. He had a decent year. He only hit 270.
Oh, he's a stud.
270, but man, if you hit 270 and hit 25 home runs, give me that any day.
Joe Charbonneau? Do I have to remind you of Joe Charbonneau?
I think he hit like 198. You're saying 270.
But he hit 300. It was the 1981 Rookie of the Year.
Do you know what Garcia was saying? Because he seemed to come on down the stretch a little bit last season. Like, it was kind of when the games didn't matter necessarily there for the Royals.
They were trying to get to 56, the mark that you
Okay,
had.
I'm jaded by the Royals. Okay, I'm sorry.
The Royals ditch a guy that hits 300 in Nicky Lopez. What'd they do to Sherman?
Heaven, don't even get started. He just does that on purpose. I hope you know that.
Designated hitter, of course, it's going to be Salvi on a lot of days, but
I like Freddie Fermin back there if he's still on the club.
yeah, he's still on the
He's still
club.
there.
Let him play.
Nelson Velasquez, another guy that showed some pop in his bat, able to hit it out of the ballpark.
And has had a terrible spring thus far.
It's spring.
Doom.
It's gloom.
Beautiful weather outside, and Hesh is still just a rain cloud.
Hunter Renfroe
No.
in right field. Kyle Isbell in center. Drew Waters in there as well, and then MJ Melendez in left.
Melinda's been hitting.
They are gonna. Okay, we'll have we'll have our records next week.
Mine's already in the brain. I know.
So you better write it down there. Okay. Just write it down. Okay, other sounds the past 24 hours or so. Brandon Schneider. I knew him as the head coach of the Emporia State women. Ooh, they had some good basketball teams. Now the head coach of the KU women. They're in the NCAA National Tournament. My KVGB Women's College Basketball Insider, Mike Corson, we were having a discussion yesterday talking about the K-State women. Didn't even mention the KU was in.
Aren't they number 4 too?
Okay, they're number 8.
Oh, number 8. Okay.
Taking on number 9, Michigan.
The man of jaded glasses.
To be fair,
He's only purple.
KU doesn't have nearly anyone as fun to watch as Ayoka Lee, so it is fair in Corson's defense.
But the Jayhawks beat K-State.
They did.
One time, yeah. Okay, yeah, they will be facing number 9 Michigan. So they'll play Saturday at 1 o'clock from LA's Galen Center. Okay, Buckyball. We're going to hear a lot about this, already have. That's Samford head coach Bucky McMillan talking about overcoming adversity after they beat East Tennessee State 76-59 in the Southland Conference Championship game. Bulldogs play Kansas Thursday in Salt Lake City.
So, yeah, sometimes these coaches become stars in their own right. Nevada's coach, can't think of his name, but he'd take off his shirt, whatnot. So I actually went to look to see if he was still coaching, couldn't figure it out. But this is a chance for this guy to, he's now on the national stage. Wonder what he'll do with it. But God forbid he should take down a blue blood.
Oh, you'd love that, wouldn't you? I just know that Mr. Jaded Purple.
Now I got him going out against Gonzaga.
Okay. Gonzaga's hasn't been, they've had a kind of a KU year this year. They're not like they usually are. So hope that matchup comes up, but they shoot a lot of threes. Maybe they can get hot. Nico Medved. He is the head coach of Colorado State. Use this as motivation.
The point being is that cockroaches can adapt to anything in their environment and not only survive but thrive. And that's what it is. You know, things happen in life, situations happen on a daily basis, and you've got to be a cockroach.
No,
You got to be a cockroach.
Evolutionarily speaking, the cockroach is a perfect organism. I say it once a week.
You can't get rid of them, okay?
Oh,
So
they're
in
perfect.
Hillsborough, they had these apartment places. I think it was an old hospital or whatever, so that's where the apartments were. But they wouldn't spray for the cockroaches all at once. So what they would do, they would spray like one apartment for cockroaches. Well, you know what so...
You don't want to be next door neighbor to that guy. Clean up the pizza boxes
Yeah,
this week.
exactly. And you come out of there, 4 o'clock in the morning, go to the bathroom, turn the light on, and think you've got floaties in your eyes, man. There's just, there's stuff scampering everywhere. Anyway, Nico Medved, you got to be a cockroach. They play Virginia tonight in the first 4 from Dayton. Larry Scott, the beauty and magic of March Madness. But he's the head coach of Howard University. They will take on Wagner tonight, or Wagner, in the other Tuesday night NCAA game. It gets started today.
At first I thought you were dropping. Is it Wagner or Wagner? Because I thought it was Wagner, but I was ready to fully believe you that it was Wagner.
In some communities in Kansas, it is Wagner. Okay, I'll just say that.
So the kicker there, eventually when they expand this bracket to 300 teams, a 300 seed will eventually be the number 1 seed.
Oh, my God.
Then it'll be laughable.
Other games tonight getting underway in the NIT. K-State, they take on Iowa tonight. Harvard, Carver Hawkeye Arena. K-State. And Jerome Tang says we're blessed to have this opportunity to play another day.
I thought he was going to say to play where Caitlin Clark plays. But he did also say
had to get that in.
He was less than enthusiastic, and he did say, I'm going to play the guys who are the most excited, which isn't a good sign.
North Texas at LSU tonight. UC Irvine at Utah. South Florida at UCF. Ooh, big rivalry game there. Minnesota at Butler. Richmond at Virginia Tech. Xavier at Georgia. And Cornell at Ohio State. Those are in the NIT. The CIT.
No.
The CIT round one matchups tonight. Texas Southern at Tarleton State. And Abilene Christian plays at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. There are no first-round games scheduled tonight in the CBI. Other tournaments that you can watch. Tom Crean, college basketball analyst, former head coach. I remember him at Indiana. I don't know where else he was. Reaction to teams sitting out of postseason play. You know, people say, well, we need to get out and recruit. You know, we've got the transfer portal. He says, tough. Anytime I had a chance to coach basketball, I'd coach it. Well,
I mean, if you're good enough, how many kids get the opportunity to play at Madison Square Garden? That might be a perk. If you're a true lover of the game, you'll want to get out there and play and compete and wear the school colors a few more times.
But some of these athletic programs are pretty small. You know, if you're Texas Southern, well, I guess that's not too far. Tarleton State. Cornell, having to fly to Ohio State. Did you have that budgeted? Maybe they're driving.
They're smart.
Load up the wagons, the horse wagons.
And Wagner, they get paid. You know, they get NCAA flies them into Indianapolis tonight. And finally, Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski.
Oh, I thought because Cole just walked in. So.
Why he doesn't like the idea of expansion in the NCAA tournament. You just said someday there'll be a 300 beat a 1, please.
Yeah, and I think that extended cut was he was saying the NCAA owns the tournament, so until we figure out what the future of the NCAA is, how can we even talk about expansion of their product?
Well, we're not gonna have to worry about a 300 beating a 1 because they're just gonna keep expanding the play-in. We're gonna have a play-in for 1 through 16, and it's gonna be 4 teams playing in for each spot.
Sounds reasonable. Mike Corson talking with Rock Creek freshman Aria Pierce. What are you going to ask her? What it's like to already not going to...
Think about it. You had an 8th grader or 7th grader even 2 years ago going to these college meets, running against junior college Division II athletes, and then beating them. So, yeah, what's that like? Are you intimidated? Then what's it like when you get to the finish line first?
Yeah, but she's not going to... Okay, I'll let you get into it, but you said she's not even going to run high school track this year.
No, she's going straight to the college competition. So whether it was an 8th grader or a freshman this year, still beating college kids. So
wonder what the Rock Creek track coach thinks. Man, I could have had a state championship.
Yeah, I definitely know when she was moving, it was like,
She was out in Wallace County, out in Sharon Springs?
Yeah, I think in middle school at Wallace County.
Wow. Okay. Good stuff coming up here from Mike Corson. Next, voice of the Cougars, Cole Reif. He'll tell us what he learned at his first national tournament and how he will use that this time around when he's there on Monday for the Barton Cougars. That's next on Sports Day.
Want to graduate a little sooner? Take online courses with Barton Online and transfer seamlessly to your university of choice without all the hassle. We have 6-week and 8-week sessions starting in February and March. Save tons of time and money and get ahead by taking courses at Barton and transferring your credits. Now enrolling for both sessions. Get started at online.bartoncccc.edu.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Zach Strite, commercial lender for Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people. I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. At Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Marvin Marmy Auto Group makes it happen. Central and Western Kansas. Check out our selection of new and pre-owned inventory. Marmy's friendly staff offers top quality service that you've gotten to know over the years. When your existing vehicle needs parts or service, our experienced team will get you back in the game this season. Marmy Chevrolet, GMC, Ford and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep Ram, parts, service, and body shop. Visit Marmy Auto Group on 10th Street or marmys.net. Marmy's, make it happen.
He's the voice of Hoisington High School football, the Barton County Cougars, and the king of the tweeter machine. It's Cole Reif on Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Sports Day also brought to you in part by Venture Corporation and remind you to help a neighbor, shop local when you can. And by the Barton Cougar Booster Club, continuing their efforts to make the Barton Athletic Department the best in the country. All right, Cole Reif with us, headed back to his second national tournament for the men. This is his third national tournament berth.
Back-to-back.
Yeah, they're going on. So I was just thinking about this because I just remember your parking situation the first year you went down there.
Forgot about that.
And so what did you learn that first time about just getting in and out of the national tournament and what it's like?
I learned from 2018 to use your connections because I mentioned that briefly in a story to, at the time, the chamber director, Jan Peters. And Jan was like, well, I know whoever the Hutchinson, chamber director is, or maybe it was the CVB director, I don't remember. So she sent her an email, and then I got an email from the Hutchinson director, and she was like, hey, if you come back, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll hook you up with a spot, right by where you can drop things off or whatever. So I was like, just need to start using my connections a little bit.
So you got that work this year?
I haven't reached out yet.
Okay, but you had park over by the.
It was a long ways. I mean, it wasn't
Cosmosphere, right?
It was past the Cosmosphere. It was down Plum. It was it would have been north of Plum, about north of the Cosmosphere on Plum.
So they don't have
some
media
parking lot. Yeah, it was. No, because they didn't have any type of media parking lot at that time. They had VIP parking spaces or whatever, but then if you wanted some other spot in the parking lot, you had to pay $5 or $10, and I'm cheap, and I was like, I'm not paying $5 or $10 to sit here for 5 hours and then get a back. So no, I walked with suitcase in hand and briefcase, and yeah.
Okay, all right. Region 6 champs. How'd they cut the nets down this time?
Pretty well. It went pretty smooth.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
The only worry was I was stalling up Miles Thompson during the interview because everyone that they had started, they were kind of waiting, I felt like, to cut down the net. And then everyone got started, and I was like, okay, I got to cut this interview off with Miles. Because I like talking to him. I mean, you're talking about a guy, there's so many stories and backdrops of that, of, talking to him. But, I haven't talked to him for an actual interview, in this 3 years. So, I probably could have gone on for 15, 20 minutes with him. But, I eventually had to let him go to get that one of those last pieces of the net.
Very thoughtful young man.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think last year was a chance for him to kind of put things in perspective and, kind of regroup and recharge the batteries as well. But I know it was disappointing for him to, not to be a part of that team from last year that was really, really close to getting to the national tournament. But to come back for a third year and, and he put it in different ways, and, somebody else's plan. But, man, it's worked out well, and it's been fun to see him thrive. I mean, not only be a part of the team, but to be one of the main parts of the team. And that's a guy that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition because what he does isn't overly, I think his dad said, it's not an overly sexy thing that he does, and sometimes the way he scores. I mean, there's one play where he missed they blocked it, he got it back, they stripped it out of his hands, he got it back, pushes his way in there, and then finally finished it off on the third or fourth chance, So there's sometimes where, the stuff that he does doesn't really oh man, that really pops off the stat sheet. But when you look at the final numbers and he goes through 24 points and 9 rebounds, man, that guy's going to be good at the next level too.
Were you disappointed that it was Hutch instead of Callie?
No. Because from what standpoint for you?
I don't know, just
as far as the matchup?
Yeah.
I think Callie would have been a more interesting one, just because they split and it's the only team that giving you a loss. But I think there's more enjoyment in playing Hutchinson at the sports arena.
What is it about this matchup in the last Well, 6 in a row.
You know, it's weird to say because you know Hutchinson's good. Like, you know they're a good team, and you look at their record and they beat everybody else. But these last 2 years, but specifically this year, like they just don't look that part against Barton. Now, I think we have to give credit that Barton's a really good team this year.
Mm-hmm.
But they've also played other teams much, much closer. Like Coffeyville's given them good runs. Obviously, Garden City, Cloud, Butler in the semifinals. Hutchinson, they just didn't. I mean, they didn't have any energy, and I thought, Barton was really dialed in from the get-go, and then just smacked him right in the face in the first 10 minutes.
It was incredible.
Yeah, build up that lead at 29 points, and man, I was kind of selfishly hoping that it was going to be like a 30-point game, but give Hutchinson credit. They came back, made it a 10-point game, but you knew they would make a run eventually. But yeah, I mean, it was too little, too late. But I don't know. I just, whatever the reason is, Hutchinson doesn't match up well. So yeah, I would have rather seen Hutchinson on the same side of the bracket of the national tournament than see Cali. They're on that side, same side of the bracket, but is what it is.
From the play-by-play guy perspective, you go into these things, and I remember when Fort Hays, won their title in '96 and went undefeated. But it was never, because you always wondered, man, there's giants out there somehow. You've been in the national tournament, so you had kind of a look at it. Fort Hays had never been to an Elite Eight before. When did you get the thought that, man, these guys not only have a good record, they're good? I mean, national title.
The game at Cali. The game at Cali. So they come into Great Bend in the first semester, beat us by 10, and that was like a really flat game. And at that point of the season, you start out 9-1. I mean, there's been multiple 9-1 teams. That type of starts for Barton. So you're kind of like, oh, okay, they have a pretty good year, but we'll see what happens. In the second semester. And then they start chalking up some wins, went to the sports arena. That was probably a brief part. When they went out and beat, Hutchinson by 22 at the sports arena in January, kind of like, well, okay. And then you could see the calendar date and that early February matchup, going to Arc City. And it was obviously a close game, but, to be able to go do that in a top 10 matchup, then it was kind of like, okay, hey, let's get this going. And you mentioned, getting a feel for the national tournament, because I remember in 2018 when Barton went as an at-large bid, I was kind of thinking, this is cute. Barton got in, but I was like, man, I was doing my prep because they played Tyler Junior College in the first round, and 8 of the 9 players at Tyler were already committed to D1. And I was just like, and nobody at Barton, they eventually had some guys that went that way, but nobody at that time had committed or anything like that, especially talking D1. And I was just like, 8 or 9 of these guys are D1. Like, this is going to be different. Like, this is fun. This is cool that they got in, but this is going to be a different stage. And then they went out and beat Tyler by 26 points, I think, in the first round. I was like, whoa. And then obviously the win against Indian Hills in overtime, and then, close against Eastern Florida State in the Elite Eight. So, yeah, this year's team, you kind of had that feel like, man, this could be a really, really good team. Now, there's going to be a lot of other ones. So obviously, you got a good look at the bracket there, and there's solid teams, but I think Barton's going to be able to hold their own.
Daytona State, Walters State. Now, Walters State seems to be there quite a bit. I mean, they haven't had a lot of success. Not Daytona State.
Yeah, I mean, that's I thought it was kind of a raw deal. I mean, 'cause no one wants to hear you complain when you're the number 1 team in the country, you get the number 1 seed.
Come on, UConn, come on.
Yeah, exactly. So no one wants to hear you complain because you just want to, if you got to face Purdue Boilermakers or the Boston Celtics, whatever it may be, go out there and roll it out there. But I thought that's a tough matchup because, sometimes when you see like the Division I selection committee and you almost kind of think they're being cute in that they set up these matchups like when KU had to play Wichita State early, or like this year, Nebraska's AD went down to Texas A&M, those two were playing, like those types of like matchups, like, hey, I think somebody had something to do with that. Man, that Daytona State and Walters State, those are, let's see, Daytona is the number 2 team in the country in scoring at 97 points per game. Who's number 3 in the country in scoring? Walters State also averages 97 points per game. So those two shoot a ton of three-pointers, a ton of threes. I think they average like making 11 threes per game. So you talk about a high-scoring game for that first matchup at 10 o'clock on Sunday. But, Daytona, I thought that was a raw deal because if they would have won that Florida Conference, they went as the number 1 seed, the co-conference champions with Eastern Florida State. I think if Daytona would have won it, they would have been probably a 3 or a 4 seed. But somehow, I mean, they got upset in an overtime game against Tallahassee and dropped from most likely a 3 or 4 seed down to a 16 seed. And I was like, ugh. I mean, I make a strong case that Daytona is the best of the 3 Florida teams that are in that
How do you think they feel?
That's
probably what's this all about?
I agree, because I remember one time during the Division I selection committee, and one of the analysts said, I think Kentucky slipped to like a 6 or a 7 seed, and they're like, it doesn't just hurt Kentucky, it hurts everybody else around them.
Because there's no teams.
Yeah, when you miss seed teams, because it hurts everybody else around them, because there's no way you should face a team like Kentucky or like Daytona. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Walter State. Walter State might win. I mean, they're both really good teams and 2 or 3 losses on the season, but there's just no way Daytona should be a 16. But
where's Walter State at?
Tennessee.
Okay.
They're in Tennessee, yeah.
Okay, then I like to see teams like Vincennes, Indian Hills, South Plains is in there. They're on the other side. Were you surprised Hutch got in?
No, I think they deserved it. I mean, you talk about the record they did. Now, obviously, Barton matched up well, but you look at Hutchinson's losses, 6 of them, 3 of the 6, half their losses were to Barton, 1 to Cali, 1 to Butler, and then they lost to Tonkawa, who was ranked for a majority of the season. So, I mean, they had 6 really good losses, obviously made it to the Region 6 championship game. Cali and Hutchinson, I mean, all season long were deserving to get in. So I was kind of happy to see, 3 teams get in from the Jayhawk.
Who's Hutchinson playing?
USC Salkehatchie. Salkehatchie, yeah.
Is that like Lyles Lashley's hometown?
The only backstory I had, and I was talking about Dodge City's former coach Jake Williams. He coached out at USC prior to coming to Dodge City. Now he's an assistant at Milwaukee, but their schedule's pretty rough. I think Hutchinson probably has a better draw on paper than Barton does to get to the Elite Eight. Or at least to the Final Four, maybe, because I think they're going to kill USC in the first round. I think Cali will smoke their first round game. They got pretty good draws. I mean, if you're Cali, you get the 9 seed. Obviously, there's Barton hanging over there in Northwest Florida State, but I don't think they can be too upset about their draw, knowing that they went toe to toe with Barton 2 games.
I think it'd be cool. I mean, we've seen 2 Jayhawk teams, I think, play for a national championship?
Yeah, 2021, Cali and Coffeyville.
Okay. Maybe I could see. I wouldn't want to see it in the quarterfinals, if it was Cali and Barton.
And I get there's 3 teams from the Jayhawk, and there's only 4, little quads they can put them in. But there's no way that, potentially, I mean, they have to get by Northwest Florida State, which is not easy, but there's no way that should be the second game that Barton could potentially play if they were able to advance. So I'd say maybe Final Four. If that happens, they meet up fine. But, to have that, Cali could have gone to, either if you give them an 8 seed, they get a bye, but, whether it's a 10 seed or whatever, like, you could have easily, I think, switched that and not had Cali on that same side of the bracket so early against Barton.
Barton wins the national championship because
they're consistent and they defend. They're consistent, they defend. I mean, you talk about Walter State and Daytona State. Both those 2 teams put up a lot of points, but they give up a lot of points. And we've seen some of those teams, even in the Jayhawk, that don't defend as well, Barton has had their way with. So I think the fact that the way they play defense and then just how balanced they are, even just with that starting 5, you forget the depth with, Brent Moss and Drake Kendall coming off the bench as your first 2 guys, but just the balance of that starting 5. Like Thompson goes for 24 and 9. There's some games that, he's not bad, but you might go for 8 and 4, and it doesn't matter, because Leger might go for 20. We've seen Mosé step up his scoring here as of recently. Ring Malith has scored, 31 points on the season. He's capable of 20 plus. So just that balance of that starting 5, and the fact that I think they even get more energy from that defense the way they lock in, and then they get the easy buckets. Man, Saturday was fun because obviously you're winning big, but you're doing it in your typical fashion. They got out and ran. Even when they didn't have numbers, they were pushing it, against the 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s. Like, it was just fun to watch. I mean, on the big stage, fast level basketball, and now you go back to that same big stage. So hopefully that's the case, and, whether it's Walter State or Daytona, it should be a track meet on Monday.
One thing I like about this team, they've been tested down by 10 against Butler. There's a time when you start showing, okay, if you're gonna get rattled, that may have been the case for it. Here we are, okay, we should win this game. Now we're down by 10.
Yeah,
but
yeah, they never flinched. I mean, I go back to even like what briefly remember about that Cali game in November, and Cali just came and they took it to us. You know, that they beat Barton by 10 in that game, but it wasn't a case of Barton being flat. You know, it wasn't a lack of energy. It wasn't a lack of trying by any means. They couldn't hit a bucket. I mean, Cali played really good defense in that, and Cali, you know, truly won that game. So I wasn't really disheartened by that game by any means. So yeah, they've never flinched. I mean, even when it's a tight game, Coffeyville in the quarterfinals, obviously Butler in the semifinals, you know, they just keep coming right back.
Okay, make sure you have your stuff set up next Monday. We'll give a call in from you.
All right, I'll be there
at the sports arena. Thanks, Cole.
You bet.
Cole Reif, voice of the Barton Cougars, with us on Sports Day. We'll talk softball with Carson DeBose next.
When it comes to car maintenance, it's good to know a local guy that can get things done. The Eller family has been in the auto repair business in Great Bend forever. Greg Eller continues that long tradition of helping people. Eller Automotive Repair specializes in wheel alignments, oil changes, and general maintenance for all makes and models of cars and small trucks. Open 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4 Fridays. Eller Automotive Repair at 915 Morton, right behind Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, 10th and Morton.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Reif, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
Sports Day is presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department. Sports Day on 15
Sports Day also brought you in part by Equity Bank Card, by 40 locations throughout Kansas. That includes Great Bend, Larned, Maxville, and St. John. Visit equitybank.com. Equitybank.com. Fuel Department. Your certified Cenex lubricant dealer and by the Marmy Auto Group on 10th Street. Great to welcome back Carson DeBose, softball coach Chad Barton, softball coach College. Had you in last week. We're off to a good start. 2-0 on Sports Day shows. Road past Northwest Tech. Fun day at Cougar Field. 18-0 and 10-2. Yes, took care of business. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Play well.
I felt like we played a little tight the first game. And so we had a little chit chat about that. They got it figured out. And they were just more relaxed. Had a lot more fun in the second game. So I'm glad we could figure it out.
For the day, Northwest 9 hits. Gets 9 hits. Happy with the pitching?
I feel like they held them, kept them off balance. They did what they needed to do.
Lanny Dryden, big day. With the bat in the game.
She's one of the twins. They have class right now. I would have brought her right now.
Test if we can identify them. Okay.
But no, she's just a great leader. On the field, off the field. She takes care of things for us.
Okay, so those are games you go in. Those are games you go in and you're going to win. You just want to go out and play, execute, maybe get some other people in the game too, and just take care of business. Get two valuable conference wins.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. And everybody had the opportunity. On what was that? Saturday? What was that?
Yeah.
I don't even know what day it is. And we have a few out with injuries. So hoping to get some of our people back.
Yeah, so a couple 5-inning games, and she take care of business there. Okay, back to the grind. Tomorrow you'll host Community College. Thoughts on Pratt coming in?
Just from what I've seen, heard. They're hitting the ball really well this year. They're competing. And so we've got to just come out. We've got to just come out like we have been. Take care of business and we'll be okay.
What's a workout like? During the season? During the season, you get done with Saturday, and then Saturday comes Monday, Tuesday, like today. What's a practice like at this time? It
just depends on if they mess anything up. On a game day. Yesterday, our main focus. Today, our main focus is going to be hitting. We kind of just break it up. And I do scouting reports that we have an idea of what to expect. If we see a team is going to bun a lot, then we work on our bunt coverages. I know their pitchers throw outside pitches. That's all we focus on. Just kind of breaking it down by depending on who we're playing against.
How good an infield hitter are you? I mean, fungos, outfield, things like that. Things like that.
That's one of those things. Like as a coach, as a new coach, I came in like been hit my whole life. This is gonna be easy. This is gonna be easy. It takes practice to be able to have control. I've got it down now. This is year 6. This is year 6. Okay, I'm good.
But that's it's one of those things. You're a player. You're a player. Or you go out there early in your career. Take infield.
It's a real thing.
Have you got to the point where you got to hit that power and pop up to the catcher before?
Not as consistently as I would like. Oh man, do our catchers get excited when I do it? Coach, you did it! Because it's harder than it. You got to get the right spin on the ball.
It's one of those amazing. It's one of those amazing things. I really didn't try to do that. I hit with a bat. When I was little. So that was my fun. I got a chance. So defensively. You have a beautiful stadium, beautiful turf. How much different is it when you go to these places on the road? When you play traditional dirt infield.
Honestly, I just have to remind the girls that it's the same ball, the same bat, the same bat they played with their whole lives. Because we are very spoiled in that aspect. But if I feel like if they're in their heads about it, we'll just go over practice on a dirt field. But really, I think it's more of a mental thing than anything.
Really? Okay, you get Pratt tomorrow coming in and looking at Pratt. The record right now is 2-10 conference or 6 and 18 overall. Then you get Hutchinson coming up. Let's see, Saturday. And that's going to be at Hutch. Blue Dragons right now 10-2 in conference, 21-7 overall. These are the teams that are already this year. Got to split with them. Got to split with them. Taking on Hutchinson.
I mean, always ready to play them. Excited to play them. I know they're going to push us. My hope as a coach is that we just push right back. They split with Butler yesterday, and I mean, we split with Butler earlier on, so it's kind of just getting the girls' heads that I mean, the conference is up in the air. It's up to whoever shows up on any given day. And we've got a chance to go take some.
Okay, when you're setting up your schedule during the year, once you get in the conference play, then every once in a while you got a game with Southeast Nebraska, right? So Nebraska, right?
Yes.
What kind of goes in scheduling games like that?
They actually reached out, trying to build their schedule, and sometimes it's nice to step away from conference focus, and we still need the games. The better teams we play that are non-conference prepares us for conference. So we threw a couple extra in there just to help us be prepared for the second half of conference and then the conference tournament.
Getting a feel for this year's team yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like we're taking little steps in the right direction every day. And that's exactly what we have to do. Because, like you said, we have Pratt. Then we have Hutch. Then we have conference. And then our second round starts over again the following Wednesday. So.
We'll have a lot to talk about next week. Yeah. You mentioned injuries. Just nagging stuff right now.
We've got one in a boot. I swear to you, I've never seen it happen before. Freak incident. She tried to bunt the ball. It spun in and got her. Split her finger. Wide open. Had to go get stitches. She finished her at bat. Had no gaping hole in her finger. Comes into the dugout, looking for a glove. To go back out on the field. And we're like,
There's a hole in your finger. There's a hole in your finger. Had to take her to the hospital to get stitches, like right then and there. So not bad, but just bad. But she just got her stitches out yesterday. And obviously that's going to take some time to heal. She played catch for the first time yesterday. Every time she caught the ball, I could just see the pain on her face. So we've got to get it. Nice and calloused up, nice and ready to go again.
All right, Pratt tomorrow 1 o'clock. Tomorrow 1 o'clock. 1 and 3.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Ready to go?
Shami will see you out there.
It's supposed to be beautiful tomorrow, like 70 and sunny. You guys come hang out with us.
Ditch the sleeves tomorrow.
Oh, we'll think about it. The hand tan's looking good.
Carson DeBose with the Thanks a Bunch coach. And we'll have more sports day coming up right after.
Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Sean Powson, president of your local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people, so I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. Because at Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Extend the life of your equipment with the best warranty program and risk management tool in the agriculture industry. The Cenex Total Protection Plan covers new and used equipment. Receive up to 10 years or 10,000 hours of engine coverage when you use Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster Premium Diesel Fuel and synthetic lubricants. With no deductible, the Cenex Total Protection Plan provides unmatched coverage to give you the power you need to keep your business running like a well-oiled machine.
Contact American Plains Co-op Fuel Department in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor, today.
Want to graduate a little sooner? Take online courses with Barton Online and transfer seamlessly to your university of choice without all the hassle. We have 6-week and 8-week sessions starting in February and March. Save tons of time and money and get ahead by taking courses at Barton and transferring your credits. Now enrolling for both sessions. Get started at online.bartoncccc.edu.
It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM. Mike Corson joined today by one of Kansas Bright track stars, Aria Pierce. She's a freshman at Rock Creek High School. Aria, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Let's get into what we've been doing. Sometimes we hear about these legendary athletes, but is it hype or is it real? Last year I got to see you at the KU Relays. It was a cold and windy day. Turns out you're the very real deal, and so you're one of the top sprinters in Kansas history already. When did this get started?
I would say I've always liked to run, but we really discovered that I had a thing for it right after the end of my 6th grade year.
And were you just naturally quick, or are you guys learning techniques that kind of enhance what you were already able to do?
I think I've always been naturally quick, but we've definitely worked on developing it with several drills and all that.
So already you've been in middle school, obviously, before this, going to some of the biggest meets around, so you're not racing middle school kids. Kind of what's the process to get into some of these big races and compete against girls who are a lot older than you?
Well, most meets definitely take unattached because that's what I've been running so far, and it's really just about, they're invitationals, so we either reach out or they reach out to us, and they usually accept if they're taking unattached, which is very kind of them, and it's always a good experience.
And obviously your times are out there, and that's what everything is based on, but still these last few years you're showing up as a 7th or 8th grader against girls who are 2-year or 4-year colleges. What's it like to show up at the starting line against some of these older girls?
I've thankfully never really been able to kind of comprehend that. I always just kind of show up and I'm ready to race. But when you do think about it, it's kind of crazy. But I definitely haven't really thought about it. I just kind of show up and I'm just ready to race. Doesn't matter who I'm racing.
And at the KU Relays last year, I didn't get to see the prelims, and it might have been a nice day the first day, but the second day was definitely not So it was just you and I think and two other junior college girls. But, I mean, it was not a close race. Do they ever say anything afterwards like, wow, you're going places?
Usually not. I feel like college races, you kind of just finish your race, and then you just kind of go your separate ways. But I do, sometimes there are times like where we say good job to each other after the races.
So we're talking to Rock Creek freshman Aria Pierce, one of the top sprinters, going to be in Kansas history. So in that regard, we've been waiting for you to become a high schooler to see what you would maybe do at state and all the rankings, whatnot. But it sounds like your goals are way bigger than the state track meet. Kind of how did you approach your freshman year and what you were going to do this spring?
We definitely waited to decide, but we kind of just decided that it would be best for at least this year just to run unattached so I can try to get into the super big meets because Keisha has, I think, a limit on if you run for your high school, you can only travel 500 miles for meets, and that would kind of eliminate me from some of the bigger competitions.
I've got to see a couple of the big track meets around the country, but where have you been and what are some of your favorites to run on?
Well, I've been to New York and then I've been to California and Oregon, so it kind of stretches the whole United States. But I definitely think some of my favorite places was definitely the New York indoor track and Oregon's facilities and anywhere in California.
And so if you go unattached, does it automatically mean you can't run high school? So you're not going to run high school at all your freshman year?
Yes, yeah. If you decide to run unattached or not for your high school, it eliminates you from that.
Okay. And so obviously if you run for your high school, you're going to wear your high school uniform. I'm kind of curious just on that side, as an unattached freshman, do you get to decide what you wear? Are you getting sponsorship deals already?
Not yet, but I get to decide what I wear, and so that's definitely a good freedom for me.
Any rule to the madness there? You just kind of pick what you're feeling that day?
Well, NCAA, so those are most of the college meets that I go to there, and so the new rule that you can't show any belly, so it's just kind of, I usually try to pick a brighter top so people can, identify me easily.
Yeah, and if you've seen the videos, your dad posts a bunch of videos of all your big meets, and it's a bright orange top, and I think a lot of times the announcer is able to pick you out very easily, plus you're running in front. Speaking of running against some of those college girls, any big names that you've been able to run against and maybe even beat?
I don't know about I can't really think of many names, but I definitely ran against, I know in Arkansas there was a girl, maybe sponsored by Adidas, but she was not originally from the United States, so I've definitely been able to run against some people from outside the United States who have gone into.
So we're talking to Rock Creek freshman Aria Pierce, who's going to be one of the top sprinters in Kansas history. What's the future of this thing? You're a freshman now. You've already had success in middle school, unprecedented success. What's kind of your future plan over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, definitely a big goal would be to be able to go to the 2028 Olympics. But other than that, I just definitely want to keep getting better and try to win. I think I'm going to go to under 20 this year, so I definitely want to keep competing in those and hopefully win in the next 3 to 5 years.
And obviously as a freshman in high school, you're still growing. What is the process to keep getting stronger or keep getting that technique a little bit better?
Definitely discipline and just in determination and just being very sticking to a schedule and just sticking with it, eating healthy, sleeping right, and doing all of those things and just loving the process.
So you've obviously been a few places, but new season just beginning. Fort Hays this week against some college girls. Any other big meets on the horizon for you?
I think after this week, the next week I think I leave Wednesday, but Friday and Saturday maybe I compete at Stanford.
And what is that like just to, you get to travel all the time, but you're showing up and you expect to fully compete at these things. What's it like to arrive on a big campus thinking, today's a day I'm going to continue making a name for myself?
It can be nerve-wracking at times, but I've definitely been working on just being turning that nervousness into excitement, and it's super fun to get to compete on those super nice tracks and facilities.
And you've kind of been a 100, 200 specialist. Any other events that you can foresee in the future?
Definitely 400. I've run a few indoor ones, and at Hayes, I'm also going to be running the 400.
All right. Aria Pierce, we look forward to seeing your numbers drop as you continue to progress throughout your career, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
More Sports Day after this.
Are you unhappy with your current wireless provider? Well, what are you waiting for? Make the switch to Nextech Wireless. Not only will you get great service and the latest devices, but when you bring your number to us, you pay nothing down. That's right. The taxes and activation fee are on us. Certain restrictions apply. Nextech Wireless. Home on the range.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
I had a young gal come in the other day who has been having chronic back pain. Did a session just helping her to understand her pain, not understanding her back, but teaching her how her nervous system works. And just that knowledge just calmed her down so much. She came back in this morning, huge smile on her face, and she was so excited to learn more. It was a blast.
Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
Welcome back, Sports Day here on KVGB. Show brought to you in part by Eller Automotive Repair, local mechanic that can help behind Great Bend Appliance Furniture and Sleep Source. By Equity Bank, no ATM fees nationwide. You can learn more at equitybank.com. And Advanced Therapy and Sports Medicine. Get your life back. Dr. Kevin Sapezi. Okay, great interview that Mike Corson had, and kind of a different flavor, Rock Creek High School, but Aria Pierce. It's kind of not going to run high school track, at least this year. I hope she does, because you go through and you're one of the best in the state, but your name would never be on the state record books, right?
That's I'm curious, like, does she do it in the senior year when she's at her fastest? That way when the name is in the record book?
She may be professional. She may be in the Olympics by then.
Yeah, that's really the worry, because you do want to get a gal from Kansas that fast in the record books. That way we can go, no, look. She grew up because she could run on the flattest part of the country here.
Ran fast. I don't think it matters, but really good stuff with Mike Corson.
I was just proud of Corson for not going too much into the Oregon thing. She mentioned one of her favorite places she's been.
He did. I was expecting that too. He said,
well, I've been to the Prefontaine, but he held back. It was a great interview.
I would have said it. I said, I've run on that track.
Well, then maybe that's why, because he didn't want to tell her about his having to run there and then trying to compare his time to her time. I don't think you make anyone look too flattering, but I bet he can write a better sports story than she can.
I would concur with that. Yes. Okay. On the show tomorrow, more of Barton basketball theme. We're going to talk to Mike Johnson. He's a longtime Barton basketball fan. Of course, he's on the board of trustees. I didn't know that he used to be the color analyst for Cougar basketball games. How about that? Yeah, we're going to talk about some of his favorite Barton memories and about this year's team. We'll also talk Barton softball with head coach Carrie Minton. She'll have her 4 seniors in with us tomorrow. That's a Wednesday edition of Sports Day here on KVGB.